Your story and your insights are valuable because when we share our knowledge, we all grow stronger together. And if this information was helpful to you, if it opened your eyes even a little, please express your appreciation by liking this video and subscribing to our channel so you never miss a piece of wisdom that could truly alter the course of your health. Knowledge only works when you apply it. I'm Professor Vitalis. Stay curious, stay healthy, and never stop learning. This is precisely why high-intensity interval training, those explosive bursts of all-out breathless exertion followed by brief gasping moments of rest, can become one of the most perilous activities for an older adult. As someone who has dedicated his life to understanding the heart, I've watched with growing concern as too many seniors embrace these punishing, trendy workouts. They've been sold a narrative that equates profuse sweating and a hammering pulse with turning back the clock. The belief is that if it feels incredibly hard, it must be incredibly good for you. But let's look at the quiet truth of what is happening inside your body. These types of workouts place a sudden, immense, and often overwhelming pressure on a cardiovascular system that may already be managing the realities of age, such as underlying hypertension, a tendency toward arrhythmia, or arteries that have lost their youthful elasticity. When you force yourself into those rapid, breathless states, your heart is commanded to pump harder and faster than it can safely sustain. For a younger heart with pliable vessels, this can be a training stimulus. For many seniors, this doesn't build strength, it systematically builds risk. The most insidious part of this damage is that it is not always immediate or dramatic. You won't necessarily feel a sharp pain or collapse. Instead, the heart strains quietly in the background. Your blood pressure might spike subtly during the workout and take longer to return to baseline. The precise electrical rhythms that orchestrate each heartbeat can become unstable, creating a fertile ground for atrial fibrillation or other irregularities. You might just feel a little lightheaded afterward, or perhaps a bit more fatigued than usual the next day, and you'll likely brush it off as a normal part of aging or a sign of a good workout. But on the inside, your heart is waving a red flag, sending a distress signal that too often goes unheard and unheeded until the day it can no longer be ignored. What I find most heartbreaking is the motivation behind it. So many seniors I speak with are doing these workouts for the noblest of reasons. They want to maintain their independence, they want to live longer, more vibrant lives, or they want to keep up with their children and grandchildren. But the potential cost of pushing your body beyond its natural evolving limits can be devastating. A sudden trip to the emergency room, or a life-altering cardiac event that robs you of the very independence you were trying so desperately to protect. So, what do we do instead? We must reframe our definition of a successful workout. Exercise in your later years should be a collaboration with your body, not a battle against it. It should strengthen your heart, never threaten to break it. The quiet heroes of senior heart health are activities like gentle, mindful walking, the flowing, meditative movements of Tai Chi, or the buoyant, supportive resistance of light swimming. These magnificent exercises support your body without ever shocking it. They work with your heart's current capacity, not against it. Remember this, in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, safety is strength, sustainability is success. In that moment, the heart is being asked to pump blood out against a barricade. For an aging heart, this can be a breaking point. If your arteries have become stiff over the years, they can't expand to accommodate that pressure surge. If there is silent plaque buildup within those arteries, that surge can be enough to rupture a plaque, leading to a clot. I have personally treated patients who fainted mid-repetition, experienced crushing chest pain during a set of lifts, or developed a dangerous arrhythmia shortly after what they believed was a perfectly normal and healthy gym session. The devastating irony here is that these individuals were not careless with their health. They were the diligent ones, the ones actively trying to preserve it. But the body in its 60s, 70s, or 80s operates under a different set of rules than it did decades ago. The circulatory system is less elastic, less forgiving. The heart is more vulnerable to those abrupt, violent changes in internal pressure. A single incorrectly performed lift or an improperly executed abdominal contraction can trigger consequences that no one ever expects to find in their fitness routine. The answer is most certainly not to avoid strength training altogether. That would be a grave mistake. The real key is to modify it with wisdom and care. Instead of heavy freestanding weights, transition to using resistance bands, which provide a smoother, more progressive resistance without the initial shock load. Focus on controlled, slow, and deliberate movements, where the quality of the contraction is more important than the quantity of weight lifted. If possible, work with a physical therapist or a trainer who truly understands cardiac limitations and the physiology of aging. You don't have to stop building strength, you just need to stop shocking your system. And yet, not all risks to the heart come from exertion or internal pressure. Some come from something much simpler, something you can't even see, but that your heart feels profoundly every single time the temperature shifts. 3. The hidden danger of exercising in extreme temperatures. The weather can become your heart's silent enemy. We rightly champion exercise as a cornerstone of good health, and it truly is. But for seniors, the when and the where of your physical activity become just as critically important as the what. I have seen far too many well-meaning older adults, filled with resolve, step outside for a brisk walk on a frigid winter morning or a jog on a sweltering summer afternoon, completely unaware that the very environment around them is actively working against their heart. As we get older, our body's intricate thermostat, its ability to regulate internal temperature, loses much of its efficiency. Let's consider the cold. When you step into a blast of cold air, your peripheral blood vessels constrict or narrow in an effort to conserve core body heat. It's a primal survival reflex. However, this narrowing of the pipes forces your heart to work significantly harder to pump the same amount of blood through a more resistant system. This directly causes your blood pressure to rise. If possible, work with a physical therapist or a trainer who truly understands cardiac limitations and the physiology of aging. You don't have to stop building strength, you just need to stop shocking your system. And yet, not all risks to the heart come from exertion or internal pressure. Some come from something much simpler, something you can't even see, but that your heart feels profoundly every single time the temperature shifts. 3. The hidden danger of exercising in extreme temperatures. The weather can become your heart's silent enemy. We rightly champion exercise as a cornerstone of good health, and it truly is. But for seniors, the when and the where of your physical activity become just as critically important as the what. I have seen far too many well-meaning older adults, filled with resolve, step outside for a brisk walk on a frigid winter morning or a jog on a sweltering summer afternoon, completely unaware that the very environment around them is actively working against their heart. As we get older, our body's intricate thermostat, its ability to regulate internal temperature, loses much of its efficiency. Let's consider the cold. When you step into a blast of cold air, your peripheral blood vessels constrict or narrow in an effort to conserve core body heat. It's a primal survival reflex. However, this narrowing of the pipes forces your heart to work significantly harder to pump the same amount of blood through a more resistant system. This directly causes your blood pressure to rise. For us, this often means prioritizing comfort over a misguided sense of challenge. Choose indoor environments with stable, comfortable temperatures, like a shopping mall for walking or an indoor track. If you must be outside, go out during the most temperate parts of the day. Hydrate generously before, during, and after any activity, even if you don't feel thirsty. Dress in breathable layers you can remove in the heat, or warm, protective gear for the cold. But above all, learn to listen when your body whispers. That first feeling of being too cold, too hot, or slightly unwell, long before it is forced to scream. But while weather is an external enemy, there's a deeper danger that lies within the very style of movement many seniors choose, especially when it involves fast-paced, jarring motions that can throw off much more than just your balance. 4. The peril of jumping, rapid movements, and sudden direction changes. This is what I call the hidden chaos inside an aging body. There's something about fast-paced exercise that feels incredibly invigorating, as if we are actively fighting back against the march of time. Exercises like jumping jacks, sprinting upstairs, burpees, or following along with quick-paced aerobics classes may look harmless on the surface, even empowering. But for a body over 60, those same movements can quietly wreak havoc on a system that no longer handles shock, speed, or sudden shifts the way it once did. In my practice, I have watched patients, strong, proud seniors who take great care of themselves, try to match the frenetic rhythm of younger peers in community fitness classes or by following along with high-energy online routines. And then, not long after, I have seen them arrive in my clinic. They describe sudden dizzy spells, a heart that feels like it's pounding out of their chest, or, worse, they've suffered falls that they simply cannot explain. Well, this is not a sign of weakness. It is a matter of biology. As we age, our autonomic nervous system, the system that controls automatic functions like heart rate and blood pressure, reacts more slowly. Our sense of balance, governed by a complex interplay between our eyes, inner ears, and nerves, becomes less reliable. And, as we've discussed, our arteries stiffen. When you introduce a rapid shift in movement, jumping up from the ground, twisting sharply, or turning on a dime, you create a perfect storm of demands on the cardiovascular system. Blood pressure can fluctuate wildly, the heart can be shocked into an irregular race, and the delivery of oxygen to the brain may struggle to keep up, leading to that feeling of lightheadedness. These high-impact, jarring motions don't just strain your muscles and joints, they fundamentally confuse the body. What feels like a simple jump or a quick lunge is, to the aging body, an emergency-level challenge in coordination, blood flow regulation, and recovery. And for any senior with even mild, undiagnosed cardiovascular issues, the risk of triggering an arrhythmia or suffering a dangerous bone-breaking fall becomes terrifyingly real. And here, again, is the most heartbreaking part. These seniors are often just trying to do what they've been told is healthy: stay active, stay young, stay independent. But we must understand that true, sustainable strength at this age does not come from speed. It comes from control. It's not measured by how fast you can move, but by how gently and mindfully you can protect what matters most: your heart, your balance, and your peace of mind. Slow, fluid, and deliberate exercises like Tai Chi, water aerobics, or even gentle dynamic stretching may seem less impressive to an onlooker, but they are profoundly and scientifically effective. They stabilize the body. They soothe the nervous system. They condition the heart without shocking it. They bring longevity without the risk. Yet, even with the safest and most gentle forms of movement, there remains one final threat that often hides not in how we exercise, but when. It's a danger that emerges when a well-intentioned routine collides with something as simple and common as your bedtime. 5. The disruption of exercising. Too late at night. This is when good intentions can disrupt the heart's deepest healing. At first glance, working out in the evening seems like a perfectly logical and convenient solution. The day's obligations are done, the house is quiet, and there is finally a pocket of time to dedicate to movement. But for those of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, what feels convenient can sometimes quietly compromise one of the most vital physiological processes your body needs to survive and thrive: restorative sleep. I have seen this pattern play out countless times. Seniors who take a brisk evening walk right after dinner, do a light cardio session on a stationary bike before bed, or try a quick workout late at night, all in the name of discipline and health. Their intentions are pure gold. But what they often don't realize is that even light to moderate physical exertion too close to bedtime can act as a powerful stimulant to the nervous system. It elevates your heart rate, raises your core body temperature, and triggers the release of hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, effectively delaying your body's natural necessary transition into deep, healing rest. As we age, our sleep architecture naturally becomes more fragile. Our internal biological rhythms, known as circadian cycles, become more sensitive and are more easily disrupted. Late-night exercise, especially if it gets your heart rate up or makes you feel warm and energized, sends a powerful message to your body: stay alert, it's still daytime. This signal directly contradicts the message your brain is trying to send, which is to wind down and prepare for sleep. And here is the critical hidden danger in that conflict. Poor or fragmented sleep is not just a matter of feeling tired the next day. It is directly and scientifically linked to a host of serious cardiovascular problems, including higher average blood pressure, increased systemic inflammation, insulin resistance, and a greater risk of developing irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation. Your heart needs periods of deep rest just as much as your muscles do, perhaps even more. During those deep sleep stages, your heart rate and blood pressure naturally dip, giving the entire cardiovascular system a precious opportunity to repair cellular damage and recover from the day's work. If you regularly sacrifice deep sleep for evening activity, you are unknowingly robbing your heart of its most essential, non-negotiable time to repair and regenerate. The message is not that seniors shouldn't move. On the contrary, movement is life. The key is that our movement must be aligned with our body's ancient natural cycles. Exercising in the morning or early afternoon has been shown to support better sleep quality at night, which leads to steadier energy during the day and a more balanced, resilient cardiovascular system. Let your evenings become a time for slowing down, not for speeding up. Now, we come to the final, most important point I promised you. If you have made it this far, it tells me you care deeply, not just about living longer, but about living better. And that is why I want to speak to you now, not just as a professor of health, but as a fellow human being who has seen too much preventable pain. I have spent decades in hospital rooms and clinics, sitting beside seniors who were strong, wise, and full of life, until a single decision, a single misguided habit, or a single workout went wrong. And so many of them, in moments of quiet reflection, said the exact same haunting words. I didn't think it was a big deal. That phrase stays with me. Because when you're over 60, almost everything your body communicates to you is a big deal. What you eat, how you move, when you rest, and how you handle stress are no longer minor details. They are the very scaffolding of your health. Your heart, after beating for you tirelessly for 6, 7, or 8 decades, is now asking, sometimes quietly, sometimes begging, for your attention. It's not a request born of fear, but of profound need. You do not need to train like you're 30 anymore. You do not need to chase some high-intensity, media-driven image of active aging if it pushes you beyond what your body is gently telling you it's ready for. What you need is consistency, kindness, and above all, the wisdom to listen. There is no gold medal for overexertion at 70. There's only the quiet, priceless reward of waking up each morning with a steady heart, a clear mind, and the energy to embrace a new day. Let go of the destructive myth that more is always better. Start choosing wiser, not harder. Walk with presence, rest with purpose, move in harmony with your age, not in rebellion against it. That is true strength. That is true courage. That is what will ultimately protect your heart. The heart doesn't ask for much, but it gives you everything. It has supported you through every emotion, every challenge, every joy. Now, it needs you to listen, not to fear it, but to honor it. The exercises I've asked you to reconsider aren't inherently bad. They are simply tools not designed for the beautiful, seasoned architecture of an aging heart. What once felt energizing might now be exhausting. What once built brute strength might now invite unnecessary strain. And that is perfectly okay. Aging is not weakness, it is the accumulation of wisdom. Your journey forward should not be about pushing harder, but about moving smarter, breathing deeper, and choosing what heals over what harms. Your health is not measured in buckets of sweat or miles per hour. It is measured in the quiet, unshakable strength of consistency, balance, and compassionate self-care. Let today be the day you begin to protect your heart, not punish it. And if no one has told you this lately, you are not too old, and it is never too late. Every gentle, wise decision you make adds vibrant life to your years and precious years to your life. Knowledge only works when you apply it. I'm Professor Vitalis. Stay curious, stay healthy, and never stop learning.